You got those Neil Young ears. You can just hear everything.
It's after
Sans earlobe.
Yeah.
After probably seeing 1,000 live punk shows, it's just tinnitus out of both ears all the time.
Or tinnitus.
Or tinnitus.
You can say it either way.
Oh yeah. Is tinnitus, it sounds British. Do you think the Brits say tinnitus?
Oh,
I bet they do. And they put a U in there somewhere.
Right. From all the shelling in the Great War, they all got tinnitus.
They all got tinnitus, and they also I think mustard gas fucks up your ears.
And they killed all their horses.
What?
Well, but they just did that because they were
a lot of
hungry.
horses died.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hungry. I don't know. I don't know that they were eating them. I think they just enjoyed killing them.
Yeah.
That's the Brits are famous for slaughtering horses needlessly. At least we make glue.
Yeah, we make glue. We make gummy bears.
Mm.
And who can deny a good gummy bear?
Right. But just for the coloring, not the taste.
Yeah. If gummy bears were all clear, you wouldn't be able to differentiate what your favorite color is, what your favorite flavor is when it's sitting in there.
But they do that with the coloring, not the hooves.
That's why Crystal Pepsi failed.
No, the hooves are what make the color.
Yeah. Ponies make orange.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Palominos make red.
Which horse is that?
They're white and brown.
Yeah, that's the one. Clydesdales are purple.
Purple, yeah. What? They're rare because you don't get that many purple gummy bears, but they're out there, just like Clydesdales.
Yep.
I think my most iconic Christmas memory is a Budweiser commercial with Clydesdales. Or maybe it's a Coke commercial. Or maybe it's a...
It's Budweiser. Bush.
Or maybe it's it might be a...
That's the most American thing that's ever been said on this podcast, by the way.
There was a McDonald's commercial that they used to play all the time. Is really long, where this kid's out on an outdoor, lake ice skating rink, and none of the other kids want to ice skate with him. And Ronald McDonald shows up and grabs the kid and grabs him by the hands and starts spinning around on the ice. And there's a close up of the kid going And I think Ronald at one point goes, "Who knows? Here goes." I can't remember what that's in reference to, but I remember him saying that. And I remember really being disliking and kind of finding the commercial fairly creepy, even when I was a kid.
Super creepy.
Because the kids just looks all drugged out, and Ronald makes a lot of faces.
Like they're connecting on a deeper level without words.
It's more, I'm not saying it's sexual, but it's more than friendship.
Okay.
Was Ronald wearing clown shoe ice skates? I mean, I remember the ad. I know
that's a good question.
Talking about a real thing.
Yeah. And then all the kids are friends at the end, but I understand why the kid that was shunned would accept their fucking bullshit friendship. And two, why the rest of the kids would be like, "Oh man, he fucking hung out with a clown."
Right. That's your ticket in.
Maybe I've misjudged this guy all this time.
Clown in, clown out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a nose you can never break. Honk, honk. Sometimes their noses are horns.
Is that it for the week?
I'm still recovering from COVID. I've been exhausted all weekend. I don't know why, but I thought I was done with it.
Sure, you're really milking this.
Well, I don't think it's milking it. I just need everyone to send me some money. I just need, my Venmo is at the top, the middle, and the bottom. And I just need you each to send me, I don't know, 40, 50, 80, $100 to get over. It's for COVID. It's for COVID relief and also COVID awareness.
Okay.
Because I'm on here spreading the news, spreading the word about COVID. It's hey, you guys, this COVID, it is no joke.
I might need to start taking this seriously.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep. The one thing I did over the weekend really was I snuck into the Shins show.
Oh, wow. How was that?
How was that?
Concert Criminal is back, baby.
How'd that happen? This is the second time you've done this. The first famously.
I feel like you're saying people should be able to sneak into your shows.
Shit, man, just show up. I don't give a fuck. Buy some merch. I bought merch. Merch from the club.
It's a good rationalization.
I bought a t-shirt and I bought a vinyl.
Where were they at?
The Moody Center.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
How'd you get in there?
Exactly.
Let's tell our Central Texas listeners how to sneak into the Moody Center.
Honestly, here's how you sneak into anything. You show up late and you act like you're in a hurry. Act like you're supposed to be there and you're in a hurry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you just, somebody's like, if somebody says something, which they started saying something to me, and on this time I just acted like I didn't hear them. But sometimes you can even act like you hear them, but just like, well, hold on. Like you're busy with something. Here's no way. You want to get into anything, carry a bag of ice.
Oh, yeah.
Look like you're in a rush. You can get into any event on the planet.
That's it, because even if they do stop you, they have to deal with the uncomfortable nature of ice, which is they're causing it to melt. They're ruining the thing that you're probably supposed to be doing.
Definitely. If you're, if you really want to commit, wear a polo shirt that is one solid color. Like, where you wear a t-shirt on under it, but it's one solid color polo shirt, no logo on it, or a logo with just whatever, just needs to not be like McDonald's or something like that. But like,
do you have a default kind of line? Like, do you have worst case scenario, a very serious, takes his job too seriously security person is going to chase after me, grab me and say, you can't get in there without a badge. What's going on? Do you have a go-to, or are you just going to kind of laugh and say, you got me?
No, you never admit anything. You'll go like, well, can you get me in touch with Kenneth then? Can you get Kenneth? Okay. Do you have Kenneth's number? Mm-hmm. Kenneth, FOH? No, I don't need whatever. I need FOH or just production design manager.
And FOH for the uninitiated stands for
the front of house.
Front of the house.
Right. So it immediately indicates that not only do you have ice, you kind of know what's going on here. You kind of are indicating that you know enough that, that's a detail. That's one little detail. It's kind of a false detail, because everywhere has one, but it's the detail to your character. I like this.
Yes. The other thing too is, you got to understand, like, I wouldn't necessarily do this for like but I bet it would work. I bet there are presidential events that you could get into with this.
Oh yeah, didn't people sneak into the gala or something? You like not that long ago?
Probably
the gala. That's a Jack Wharton line.
Yeah. They're going to unveil the nuclear weapon at the new gala. Well, we'll get back to Jack Wharton, but you got to realize, like, if you're showing up a little bit later, like the people that are working these events, they don't want to be there. They're getting paid garbage. And they kind of got to sit through it. Most of them, 9 out of 10, do not care. It doesn't, like, whatever's just going to make them get through the night easier. Maybe there is that number 10 that is a real fucking hard ass that takes his job way too fucking seriously. Mm-hmm. For the most part, as long as you back off real quick and just go like, can you get me home, Kevin? Like, who's Kevin?
It's me.
Kevin or Ken? I don't, like that. Well, and then just go. Fine, hold on. Do you want to watch this ice? If you have the ice, go like, do you want to take care of this ice? And if that doesn't work, go, fine, I'll go. Let me go all right, let me go get out of the way so I can call them and just text for a while and pace around looking for stuff. And then just all of a sudden look at your phone and look real serious and walk in a different direction. And just know that, they won't question you. They won't be like, oh, you almost got in, you're in trouble. They're just like, all right, something's happening. He'll probably come back with somebody later. Well, then sometimes you have to just admit defeat.
You just leave,
or just go to a different entrance and try the whole thing again.
Well, you got all that ice. That's fun.
Or fucking you go into the loading area. Maybe there's a little like, do you know where this is supposed to go? They said to catering. It's supposed to go to catering. Yeah. If you get into catering, you're already in.
Now I know that most people don't care. But what if the person stopping you was a see something, say something person, and they thought, all right, I do know who's supposed to be back here. I feel like this could be a dangerous person going to do a dangerous thing. Have you run into that? Like, it's not just they're trying to, they don't want you to stop having your fun, but it's somebody doing that. We probably do want that person to say something. I feel like they'd be if right. They think that by their inaction, they're allowing you to potentially endanger the good people watching the band perform. Like maybe you're strapped with, several weapons and you're ready to have your manifesto read out loud on TV.
I mean, at some point this will happen and a band will get hurt.
Well, I think it has happened.
To who?
Well, Dimebag
Darrell. But that person just rushed the stage, I think. I don't think that think
of all the security guards who let him in just because he had a bag of ice. Isn't that the story?
Yeah.
His shoulder was wet. They never knew why, but it's because he walked by all security. Well, and then there was that Eagles of Death Metal thing in France, right?
Yeah, but that was like extremists that they charged in. They didn't come in through the back. They came in through literally every single entrance, I believe, right?
Yeah, well,
it was like a coordinated attack. It wasn't like one guy. That was like a coordinated
I thought that was
attack.
Oh yeah, that's right.
On Charlie Hebdo.
Right.
That's right. That's the paper, right? That dared to draw a picture of someone's deity.
Je suis Charlie.
Yeah, the cartoon paper.
Je suis Charlie.
Je suis Charlie.
On s'entend si on t'entend.
French fries.
Où est le baguette?
Well, it's almost
La
like
Madeleine.
Podcast.
Let's go eat lunch at La Madeleine.
Cobain.
Cocoa Puffs.
Cocoa Puffs.
The bird. He goes crazy for them.
The bird. He
goes insane for the Cocoa Puffs.
Gérard Depardieu, the greatest actor ever.
Sleep with your mistress.
Your many
sex
mistresses.
With your mistresses.
Look down on the Louvre.
Wear Speedos and have a small penis. Wait, I just wanted to add this. In pop culture news, I have not seen. Well, I just went and saw that movie. Nope, that was really good.
Oh yeah, was that good?
I loved it. Yeah, it was super good. We have a text change between the INS crew listeners, and we only use our INS phones. We only use our work phones for the text INS text messages. So don't get it all fucking.
They cannot be hacked.
Don't go. Yeah, and they're encrypted. They're encryptoed. They're encryptoed because we talk about Bigfoot. But Brian brought up that he'd seen The Gray Man, the Netflix show The Gray Man, and that apparently it steals from Jack Wharton.
What?
Heavily.
I have not seen it yet, but I have to get my lawyers ready on this. But
I thought I was your lawyer. What's happening? I'm literally. Who else is doing your legal work?
I'm doing two birds at once. I'm doing two birds at once right now because I'm finding out about this, and we're adding content to the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And you're hearing about it. So I hope you're taking notes because somebody's getting sued.
We will sue the Russo brothers. We will sue Netflix. We will sue the inventor of streaming. We will sue Al Gore for inventing the internet.
Gosling, Chris Evans,
all the Chris's.
Probably some broad. There's probably a hot broad in the movie. Is there a hot broad in the movie?
Yes.
We're really going to sue her.
Yeah, sue the tits off of her.
Well, it's not so much that ripped off Jack Wharton. It's that the dialogue was on par with a Jack Wharton film. So I don't know that I meant that.
So there was a dog that barks backwards?
Well, I mean, it sounds good. No. Admittedly, it sounds awesome.
Does it?
Well, it sounds good, but it sounds like a ripoff of something even better.
Right. Well, and if that's your impression, that is true.
Yeah.
It is not as good as a Jack Wharton film. There is no backward skeletons. There are no multi-dimensions. So in that, it really misses the boat on some of the sci-fi elements of a classic Jack Wharton romp. But it is definitely they were trying to hit the beats of a Jack Wharton film, and they just missed the boat, right?
Yeah.
Like every time it should have been snappy, believable dialogue.
Yeah.
It was nonsense. I can't believe somebody wrote something this stupid dialogue.
Can you give us an example? Just, throw out a line.
Sure. I mean, let me check my notes, Kevin. I wrote down my favorites.
I know you took them.
I think the gray man character said something along.
Is Chris? Which one's the gray man?
The Mouseketeer.
Okay,
he was a Mouseketeer, right?
I think so. I believe.
Yeah,
it was.
Gosling was a Mouseketeer.
Annette Funicello.
The great
is she
Annette Funicello?
No, she's dead.
She was the CIA director.
Yeah. She's like, gray man, you're off the case, gray man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's probably like, well, this is what would happen in a Jack Wharton movie. They'd be like, Wharton, you're off the case. And he'd be like, yeah, maybe this case is about to get off all over me.
What a good line.
Yeah.
Man.
What kind of...
That's one that would have a hard time getting past the Chinese censors. That's good. It might sneak through, though. You might make that one.
It might sneak through. There's a little bit of wordplay when we do the dubbing. But I'm excited to see, because if flattery is the number one form of impressive deception, as we all know, is a famous saying, a famous quote.
That's the wrongest.
What is
flattery is the number one version of inception. Is a famous saying.
Who says that?
Shit, I don't know. Like philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
Philosopher.
Can you name a philosopher?
Like Plato or Aristotle?
Dana.
L. Ron Hubbard.
The great L. Ron.
Great minds of our time. But so I do want to see what it is. I mean, there's a couple Jack Wharton adventures that don't dip into the sci-fi as much. There's a Jack Wharton in the Cold Autumn. There's Jack Wharton, the Primavera Principle. Is kind of a big European adventure.
Right. Primavera Principle. Yeah.
Yeah. Primavera Principle. Jack Wharton, Night Skies on Fire. Also, Jack Wharton and the Jade Pelican, which is kind of a Asian adventure.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And I'll say this. If you want to know about sneaking into stuff like concerts,
right?
Jack Wharton, I researched a lot of it. I'm as an artist, I'm kind of explaining my writing kind of dovetails with my life and like sneaking into Shin shows, sneaking in the Rolling Stones. These are things that came to me in writing these Jack Wharton scripts and novels and comics. Just think about that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Just think about that.
Welcome to INS, the International News Service, your source for the most important weird news from across the globe. With news analyst Kevin Harrison, actor, comedian, and musician Mike Wiebe, and professional commentator Brian Camp. INS, the news you need.
Welcome to the International News Service. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin Harrison, along with...
I am Brian Camp.
And I am WGA writer, accredited screenplay author, Golden Globe watcher, Mike Wiebe. I've seen every Golden Globes.
Have you?
Yeah.
You have them all on VHS?
No, I've been to all of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I go every year. And I've never once been invited. I've snuck into every single one.
Wow.
Oh, with a bag of ice.
Oh, yeah, a bag of ice. I go, I've got the globe.
That's right.
Okay.
The globe.
They're like, well, I don't have your name on the list. Okay. Well, I guess you don't want Henry Winkler getting his globe.
I was going to say Goldie Hawn, but Henry Winkler's better. Mr. Henry Winkler. Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. So, I guess, years ago, I remember, okay. So Richard Mulligan's going to walk home without a little statue of a globe. You telling me that Empty Nest is not going to win the Gigi?
Can't remember who he was. Spinoff of? Have we established that?
I
Golden
believe
Girls.
the Golden Girls?
He dated B. Arthur.
Golden Girls? I'm talking Golden Globe.
They won a Golden Globe, right?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Do you think that joke was made?
Probably, I'm sure.
How many times?
Are the Golden Girls going to win a Golden Globe?
Mm-hmm.
The only Golden Globes I care about are my gorgeous titties.
That's a Blanche Dubois line.
Oh, yeah, true.
The only Golden Globes I care about are these gorgeous titties. One time I remember I was looking on back in the day. I mean, not that I'm implying I've never looked at a nudity on the internet now, but this was like a long time ago on Mr. Skin. Remember Mr. Skin?
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking up at Terry Hatcher. I wanted to see if there was any Terry Hatcher nudity.
Wow.
and the line was like, it's a rare event for Terry Hatcher to show her gorgeous orbs. They call Terry Hatcher's breasts her gorgeous orbs.
Gorgeous orbs. Man, that's artful writing. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough to when you like, how many synonyms or analogies can you come up with for breasts?
Either read or heard something about a guy who discovered his father wrote like just cheap, like, penthouse level pornography. He apparently had just all these notebooks full of like thousands of variations on the word dick and tits and like pussy. And then every time he would just go through the list every time he needed one and cross it out and then go to the next one.
Yeah, I have to do that for Jack Wharton, but it's all for throat injuries.
Right.
For death. It's all euphemisms for death and what it's like to die and stuff.
He clawed out his breathing tube.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, obviously you read the Primavera Principle.
Right. Oh, I mean, I thought that was from the Jade Panda. Is that what
the Jade Pelican.
Jade Pelican, that's right. Right. The classic adventure novel spanning the entire Asian continent.
There's one I remember. His lifeless body sat there like a hunk of shit.
So, you guys ready to get started here?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, I don't know that we can top something like that.
This isn't a Jack Wharton podcast. This is just tell people about the news.
As a note to the listener, it's all downhill since that little analogy there.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we've got 3 news stories. We don't have any arts and culture story, but the third story might be a little cultural. And then Mike's got a real Rooney of a segment in Get to Know Your Podcast.
Oh,
click.
That's a promising tongue click.
Mm-hmm.
So this first story was submitted by Ben, and it's from
Ben Johnson.
No, different Ben. Ben S. I don't know if people want me saying their last names. Our millions of listeners out there.
Was it 2 of them? Two?
One
I'm
Ben.
confused.
There's one Ben.
You said Ben's.
No, Ben S.
The Ben's, the first Radiohead record.
Uh-huh. The Ben's.
Oh.
That's what you get when you dive too deep.
Thom Yorke. He's a creep. He's a winner.
So this story comes to us from Wales Online, which is a site for Welsh news, not the aquatic being.
I thought we were talking about pods and cantos or whatever they are.
You need a waterproof computer.
True.
For them to get online.
A year ago, Not that kind of whale, guys. A year ago, an elderly woman in the West Midlands region of Wales contacted police after a skull mysteriously appeared in her backyard. The woman said she was scared to death, and police sealed off her home as a crime scene. Soon, police discovered the real culprit, a colony of badgers. Now, if you remember...
Stacks of badgers!
And Mike clearly does. Badgers in UK graveyards are no stranger to the podcast. And back in episode 2, we talked about a graveyard in Birmingham where the graves were caving in because of tunneling badgers.
That's so great.
Stacks of badgers.
Yeah, well, country's going to pot. Country is going to pot. What with the Tories and the Parliament and the badgers leading skulls everywhere. What's next?
For the past year, the badgers have been tunneling through a graveyard next to the woman's home, and when they come across bones, they dump them in the old woman's garden. In addition to the skulls, she says she's found dozens of femurs and jawbones scattered in her flower beds. And she says she's counted as many as 7 badgers in her backyard at night. The woman appealed to her local council, but they said they're legally prevented from relocating the badgers until their breeding season ends. And just as a note, I looked up their breeding season, and I couldn't figure out when it ends, but it peaks in February. So what, is it the whole year?
Yeah, you got to figure they're finding those air pockets, those buried air pockets, and just making little badger babies in there.
Yeah, badgers be fucking. Badgers be boning. BBB. Badgers be boning.
Mm-hmm.
This lady, honestly, I think she has got the best life ever.
Yeah.
She gets to look out her quaint little country village place and see badgers running around at night. That's fun. 2, she gets free skulls.
Oh, yeah.
Free. You know how much? You know who would love that? Danzig.
That's right.
Danzig would love.
I'm surprised he hasn't made an offer.
Danzig would love this old lady's life. I'm surprised. Yeah, I don't know if he knows about it, but I could see him getting an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could see him making an offer because she does not know the value that she has. Actually, it's a good investor's time to try and get this lady's address. I would love to try and get this spot.
Does she get to keep all the bones? Like, does she keep them?
No, they said they've been trying to identify them, or at least her daughter said they've been trying to identify them and return them to their relatives, which is its own kind of creepiness.
How are they doing that?
And I don't know how you would do that. Like, oh, yeah, this looks like George's femur.
Yeah.
I'd keep them.
I'd keep them too.
What would you do with them?
Make a cane.
I would build a xylophone.
That's
a bone xylophone.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I would learn to play it.
I know from several cartoons that is an effective way to build an instrument.
Yeah.
It would sound great.
Man, that would be the best. I wish I had badgers bringing me bones all the time.
So what kind of bones would you want specifically? Like, the badger would bring you any kind of bone from any animal. What would it be?
This is very witch-like behavior, don't you think? This is not like, I think, methinks this lady doth protest too much, which is the type of language they use over there.
Mm-hmm.
Badgers are normally very stingy with their bones, in my experience. So the fact that I think she's cast some sort of spell over these badgers, and she's getting the bones, and she's doing some kind of bone ritual. She's, probably making a big xylophone herself. She's got a cauldron somewhere. I mean, shit, British people invented witches.
Did they?
I don't think that's right.
Okay, well, who did?
I don't think
the Canadians invented witches.
No, I know. No.
I don't think you can invent a profession. Like, nobody invented plumbers.
Well, sure they did.
Yes, the Romans did.
Yeah.
They were the first people to have aqueducts.
What's up, 7th grade? You paid attention one day in class.
Uh-huh.
That's so good.
I did.
The Roman aqueduct, yeah. I guess. Well, man, they plumbed.
They plumbed all over the place. They invented the term. They would say like, "Oh, Caesar hath wrecked the toilet," because they'd have those big fucking meat orgies, you know, where they just sit around eating all the time.
Meat orgies.
Eating meat, a lot of meat.
Caesar hath wrecked.
Caesar hath, Caesar hath created a bomb.
I that makes me rethink what I said about witches, and perhaps they were invented by the British.
I do believe that. I mean, we invented the modern like goth witch. Like Firuza Balk actually invented the current like hot topic witch. But before that, the original large pointy hat, fly around on a broomstick, which I believe is something sexual, and I did not know that growing up. But the whole sitting on a broomstick.
I don't know how much more obvious they could make it.
I never thought of it when I was
never
a kid.
Thought about that. I thought that's how they got around.
Yeah, I just thought that's how they happen to fly around.
They fly around that way.
But Mike, so I'm thinking of a witch, and I'm rethinking all this now because in my head, a witch is dressed like a lady pilgrim.
Yeah.
And now I think maybe colonists invented witches. No, I mean, they all came from, at least those, the witch burning ones came from Britain, right?
Yeah. They were burning witches all the time back then.
All right, you know what? I think you're right.
Yep.
I am changing my position. The British invented the witch. At least the classic, like if Tom and Jerry found themselves in a haunted house and a witch lived there, that witch is a British witch.
The Shakespeare was very witch friendly.
Yeah.
Shakespeare invented witches, maybe.
In Macbeth?
Well, there was an earlier play that had witches in them, and it was called Bloody Night at Shithole Creek.
I don't think that's a Shakespeare play.
It was. It was the first one.
Well, it was more of a collection of sonnets, but it was Shakespeare for sure.
It was Shakespeare. I mean, he wrote it under the pseudonym The Bachman Plays.
Can you read us a sample?
Yeah, I mean, he was still kind of developing his style. It was like not quite iambic pentameter. And he wenteth out to the creek. Holy fucketh, he said. Blood, gore, and viscera strewn all about, including the dead body of the formerly voluptuous wench with the big titties. For hath not she fornicated so early? Would her lifeth be extinguished if so quickly? No one hath known. No one hath known. And that's just like a section. There's a whole thing that leads up to that. These young princes and princess crew are like, they go to have like a party down by the creek. And, and they're doing that. They fucking set up one of those poles where they're dancing around, holding us like a, I don't know, what is it? Like a maypole ribbon? Yeah, like a maypole. Yeah, they're round and round.
Oh, like the safety dance video.
Turns out there's an evil witch in the area, and they did not know about it. So, and the witch kind of finds a lot of them, fucking and sucking and stuff, and just starts killing them one by one.
Oh.
I think it's cool that Shakespeare was able to take some of his early work and repurpose it for A Midsummer's Night Dream. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's where that is too. Yeah, because there is a satyr sort of creature, like a guy with goat legs. Yeah, and in the original book, he goes and stomps on a guy's balls. It really describes how they like shoot out everywhere.
Wow.
Explode in blood. And apparently the play was very like, they did a lot of like special effects. Was it like a Gallagher thing? Was it? Well, yeah, it was totally. There was like a "don't get in the splash zone" sort of type thing. They would hand out burlap sacks for you to put up when the blood stuff would happen.
Just old turnip bags.
So our next story comes to us from the Daily Beast.
Ooh, Beast mode.
I'm going to read the title to this one because the title of this is great. Russia says it's losing because Ukraine has experimental mutant troops created in secret biolabs.
Whoa.
Which gives away pretty much the whole article, but it was so good I had to read it.
That's
Like
Resident
this, huh?
Evil type shit.
I was thinking Fallout.
I never played that one.
I mean, it could also be Captain America, right?
Ooh, yeah. Super Soldier
A bunch of
Serum.
super soldiers.
5.5 months ago, when Russia invaded Ukraine, it predicted Ukraine would fall within 72 hours. Now, on the day this episode drops, 167 days have passed, and Russia has an answer for why its plans have failed. Ukrainian troops were turned into superhuman killing machines during secret experiments in American-run biolabs.
Dang.
According to Russian media, 2 Russian lawmakers are heading up a commission to investigate biolaboratories in Ukraine. They claim they've gotten this information from testing the blood of Ukrainian POWs, which showed they were given performance-enhancing drugs, quote, in order to completely neutralize the last traces of human consciousness and turn them into the most cruel and deadly monsters.
Whoa.
They also claimed the presence of hepatitis A antibodies in the Ukrainian prisoner's blood was proof an American biolabs company was involved, since a former health minister for Ukraine was a dual Ukrainian American citizen. I don't understand how those are connected.
I don't understand the Hep A thing. Like, what?
Yeah, no,
what is that?
It's
have
what they
to
said. And
deal with country of origin.
It's a detail.
Hep A, like that means hepatitis America.
That's right. That's right.
those are the strongest of all the antibodies.
I'm glad they figured out what it was. I was worried that it was just the hubris of Putin. So
Yeah,
it's good that it was something other than them not being very good at going to war against Ukraine.
Yeah, the lawmakers never seem to mention in their report the thousands of Russian troops refusing to fight, sabotaging their own equipment, and even deliberately wounding themselves. And they also didn't mention the possibility the Ukrainians might be motivated to fervently defend their homeland.
but still, in the Russians' defense, that all sounds pretty far-fetched.
Yeah, that sounds like mutant talk to me.
Yeah.
Real mutant talk.
That doesn't sound like Russian troops are. I've seen a movie, and these people, these Russians, are fucking crazy. They look like they're almost sweeter. They're like super Aryan looking, and they are boxers. It was a movie about they're all boxers. These Russians, they know how to box so good. And
a lot of steroid use too, right? I'm guessing. I'm not sure.
I think it was vodka. I think they were just shooting vodka into their veins.
Yeah. Okay.
And they say things like, "If he dies, he dies." Now, how credible is this news report in Russia? Like, how many people in Russia are actually hearing this?
I don't remember which news source it was specifically, but it was one of the major outlets. I did look it up. Like, it wasn't just a tabloid. I mean, theoretically.
Would anybody in Russia actually buy that? Like, are they as stupid in Russia as we are here?
About to say, how many people think that there was a nationwide conspiracy to steal an election from Donald Trump?
Yeah, but
with
feel
still
like,
zero evidence of that happening.
Right.
I feel like we are aggressively, and not we, but I feel like a large subsect of the American population is aggressively stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Just dumb as a fucking, listen, as Jack Wharton would say, just a pile of hunk of shit.
A true wordsmith, Jack Wharton.
A bunch of lifeless bodies that look like hunks of shit.
I can. It's when you second picture it perfectly in my head.
I mean, when these are your only news sources, you're probably pretty likely to believe what you're fed. It's like Americans with one news source, and that isn't INS. If your only news source is INS, then you got it figured out.
Right, when you've made good decisions.
But I feel like if fucking soldiers,
you're informed.
If soldiers were, and they were like, trying anything they could do to get out of fighting, to get out of going in there, quitting, AWOLing, hurting themselves, sabotaging their own equipment, which is all seems to be pretty documented. Like, I imagine that they'll get much worse than a court martial you would get over here, right? They would probably get. Aren't they risking like execution or something like that? I wonder.
I don't know what you're.
You know, deserting in a time of war is in most places not looked on favorably by the warmongering state.
Yeah, I don't feel like Russia's propaganda department has the hold over the nation in the same way that, say, the Nazi Party did for Germany, or even. I mean, I don't know what it's like over there. I mean, obviously, like the Trump propaganda department has quite a sway over all the fucking dumb fucks over here.
Well, maybe it's less to get people to believe that this is happening and more to fill the void if you don't say something, right? And so it's not that it's not that the expectations people are going to read this are going to believe it, but it's people that don't want to think these bad things about their country, the place that they lay their head and they want to feel proud of in the Olympics and everything else, and have a connection to like their homeland. They don't believe this, but this just fills that place in their brain that has to have an alternative explanation to this being a war of aggression to retake a former Soviet buffer state.
Yeah.
This is a good comedy. I'm glad.
Well, we don't just do comedy. We tell the truth.
This is the news,
of course.
right?
Goddamn truth.
If we can do it with a gleam in our eye, we sure like to. But sometimes, Kevin, sometimes
there's too many truths
serious
to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it is interesting. I mean, it is fucking, for real though, it is crazy that you would have to resort to, it's fucking, you ever seen Universal Soldier with Van Damme?
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing over there. Dolph Lundgren and Van Damme, Universal Soldier, that's what they're doing over there. So, I mean, what the fuck are we supposed to do? Let's just call everyone back home. We'll have a couple drinks of vodka, and we'll start creating a giant robot spider to fight them.
Why is the Russian accent?
Because I don't do a good Russian accent.
That's fair.
And I also, it's just the mentality. It's the same mentality of just like, I don't know.
Give the Southern man a break. He doesn't need that, Mike. There's good people with Southern accents out there.
I mean,
you's got those Universal Soldiers over there, right? These guys, these Universal Soldiers over there. There's like Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. Oh my God, these fucking oh my God, they got a little fucking eyepiece on one eye, so the people back at the base can see what they can see. And it's like, fuck, dude. Oh, but you know what? At some point, those Universal Soldiers, they're going to remember. They're going to remember, I used to have a fucking kid. I used to have a fucking house, and I used to have a fucking kid. Maybe I don't want to go do the splits and kick people no more. So when these Russian soldiers wake up and they're like, fucking, hey, I used to have a kid. I used to do art. I have an art gallery. Maybe I don't want to do kickboxing splits no more. Maybe you can't control me. But then, at some point they're so mad. You're already fighting. So it's like, fuck it. My wife just came in and has her arms folded. Well, yes. What?
What is that
I can't do a Russian accent, so I was doing a Southern accent. So Brian told me
it's not a Southern.
Stop it. Brian told me not to do Southern, so I switched it over to sort of, it's just a kind of a nebulous.
It's like a Chicago.
It's like a Chicago guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you not do it so loudly?
All right. It's the news. It's called the news. It's called the news.
That's right.
It's the news.
Doing, but that is not.
It's the news.
Not with the accent. Not good. Culturally insensitive.
What?
Culturally insensitive. It's not culturally. It's not. The news team agrees. It's not.
Tom Brokaw did accents like that all the time.
Yeah, Tom Brokaw did accents, and so did the other guy.
Tom Brokaw is like 98 years years old. Is he even still alive?
Sure.
He is. He lives in Texas too.
Yeah, it's true.
No, that's Dan Rather. That's Dan Rather.
Thank you.
I think they both
That's
live
right.
here.
Tom Brokaw. These fucking Russians. These fucking Russians.
I can do.
Man, it's a good Tom Brokaw.
These fucking Russians are universal soldiers.
I feel like Tom Brokaw's job was to be a little more understandable, but it's like Tom Brokaw with marbles in his mouth.
Russian soldiers.
Dateline, Kiev.
Dateline.
Universal soldiers.
There's Dolph Lundgren's and Jean-Claude Van Damme's for the Ukraine. No.
Do you think this is a?
Okay.
I'm sorry, Kevin, but I have a.
That's all right.
Do you
One more
think
point.
like other nations like we've established that we're three American born and bred citizens of this world, and we're trying to bring news of the international variety to people worldwide. But do you think other people grew up with the same amount of like the fact that there's a war going on with Russia right now is it's kind of weird because it's like every movie we saw from the age of 9 to the age of about 17 happening, right?
Right.
Is that a phenomenon that only are only we getting this, or are there other people in other places like, oh man, I can't believe it took so long, but Russia's really doing something like this?
I mean, I think they had the same movies that we made and exported there.
Yeah, but they dubbed them differently. They put in different stuff. Everybody had a Chicago accent.
Yeah.
Different dialogue.
So our last story comes to us from The
Yep.
Guardian,
Oh, what are they guarding?
The galaxy?
Australia.
Oh, wait a minute. This is a British paper, right?
Yes.
Is Australia still back to the crown?
It's part of the Commonwealth. I think they have the Queen on their money.
Ooh, do they?
So
All right, I take it back. All right.
They have
Going Guardian.
Yahoo Serious on their money.
Jocko's on their 1 cent piece.
Yeah. Yeah, the 1 cent. So you can, one of these?
in late July, residents of the Australian city Mildura were both awed and confused when the entire night sky was lit up with a mysterious pink glow. People across Mildura flocked to their backyards and front porches to photograph the spectral glow. One resident said, quote, "It was very bizarre. I was on the phone to my mum, and my dad was saying the world was ending." Another tweeted, "Was it aliens? An aurora?" Apparently, the real culprit was the Can Group Limited, which, on July 7th, became the first Australian company to get a license to grow medical marijuana. The company uses red spectrum light to encourage plant growth, and apparently, someone left the blinds open. It's not clear exactly where the company is growing marijuana either, because the license requires the location to be a secret. When one resident found out the reason for the pink glow, she said, quote, "I look forward to many other innovative producers coming to the region and bringing their glows with them."
That's an open-minded resident. Good for him or her.
Her.
Yeah, I feel like it's a real 50-50, the reaction you would get over here.
People would be shooting into the sky.
That's not true. Oh man,
Gotta kill them clouds.
we're not that dumb. I mean,
I don't know.
dumb.
Maybe not in your neighborhood.
I want to be. I'm on an up with the USA kick.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be as negative as it would be easy to be.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because things are kind of shitty right now, especially. But there is a subsection of real
Yeah.
dumbos.
You mean people who think a space laser tried to eliminate an entire town of people? That's
Yes.
that dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got 'em.
People that believe that the world is flat. You know, I feel like
right.
we have to have more flat earthers than anywhere else on this planet. I would bet.
Yeah, maybe, probably. I still am convinced that a good percentage of flat earthers are people who just think it's funny to claim to be a flat earther.
I think there's a
Surely,
chunk,
right?
I think there's a chunk, but I think there's a bunch that really sincerely believe it.
Yeah,
Right.
And I think it's got to be a little bit of just American, like, you don't fucking know. Like there's a weird like I mean I have it as well. I don't know if it's because I'm American or just how I was raised, but like where it's like I don't accept authority, and mine is sometimes useless too. There's certain things that I am just immediately resistant against that are probably good for me,
right,
or whatever, you know. But like I think there's some that spreads even so far down to just the basic laws of science, you know, the basic.
No, you're right. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's people in other countries that are that way too, but I think there's just a weird like bred within us of like nobody fucking tells me what to do.
Yeah, like I have to do the dumbest thing just to be contrary to you suggesting I do the second dumbest thing.
Well, there are other countries where they don't put security at venues because no one in that country would ever consider putting a bag of ice on their shoulder and just walking in. And that's right. That is
a good point.
Well, they subsidize their art over there.
Well,
so an artist like me would be able to afford to get into those shows.
State-sponsored art's the best art, right?
Oh, yeah. You know where they have a lot of that, Brian? Russia.
County-sponsored art is the best art.
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah.
All right.
They got security at clubs over there.
That's just because you're playing. They're afraid you're going to walk out with all their ice, their booze.
They don't. You know what? That wouldn't work over there because they don't believe in ice over there.
Even in their liquor drinks.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember liquor drinks.
Yeah, there's a lot of liquor drinks I wouldn't drink without ice.
There's a lot of lukewarm drinking going on over there.
Man, all right.
I think it's time to move on to get to know your podcast.
Yes.
Do we have song? Has Mark written a song for this yet?
Oh, we need.
No, I don't have an arts and culture song either.
Oh man, didn't Mark promise?
It hurts me. It hurts my soul.
Yeah.
Sometimes we call out or make reference to a item or subject that you might not know about it. It is during this time that we go back and we discuss some of the things that come up fairly regularly in our podcastery to explain it to you, the audience, better. And this week we have the man, the myth, Andy Rooney, often confused with Mickey Rooney.
We did him last week.
That was Mickey Rooney that we did last week. And I'm sure once we get this done, we will never mix these two.
These guys are brothers.
Men ever. They're actually not brothers.
But they are related.
Andrew Atkin Rooney was born in Albany, New York. His name was Aitken. Andrew Aitken Rooney. Aitken.
Aitken.
Oh. He was born to Walter Scott Rooney, 1888 to 1959, and his mom lived from 1886 to 1980. And I only bring that up in that, holy shit, this motherfucker was old.
Yeah.
He's a New Yorker guy. He was in the army. He went to and was fought in a WW Dose.
Oh, the Greatest Generation.
August 1941. The Greatest Generation. Wow. And he actually was started writing for Stars and Stripes over there. And he was actually one of the first people to write about the details of the concentration camp.
Oh.
He was like one of the first people ever. He won a Bronze Star for being a war correspondent in combat zones.
Oh, wow.
And in his 1995 memoir, My War, it chronicled war reporting and historical events and a firsthand view to Nazi concentration camps. He described how it shaped his experience as both a writer and a reporter. So he gets back and he joins CBS and he starts doing stuff there. But he was a writer. Mostly he was a writer, this guy. I always thought,
okay,
let me just start with my impressions of Andy Rooney. And I want to ask you, because I think I knew him in the same way that both Brian has mentioned it and I as well got to know like Bugs Bunny or Humphrey Bogart and guys like that, and Edward G. Robinson was doing Bugs Bunny. I feel like most of my Andy Rooney knowledge came from people making jokes about Andy Rooney.
Yeah.
Like I didn't really like 60 Minutes. So like long story short, Rooney, he gets on stuff and he has a little segment, and then around 1973, they give him his own permanent segment at the end of 60 Minutes. and it's called A Few Minutes with Andy Rooney. And he stayed from 78 all the way till when he fucking quit doing it in like 2013. He had this segment every single goddamn week. But I remember Simpsons making jokes about it. Beavis and Butthead had some.
They did, yeah.
Where they'd make fun of him. I think, and there's things I don't even remember. I think just kind of sketch stuff, like the idea of a cranky.
Yeah, there had to be SNL bits about him. There had to be.
It had to be, totally.
Right.
And it's, reading about the dude, like he was actually pretty cool. This is my craziest takeaway about Andy Rooney. As big of a crank as he was, I think he's kind of joking about a lot of the things he said he didn't like, because it was all types of shit. It would be like he doesn't like certain types of milk, or like water brands, or like cotton. That's when you open up your aspirin bottles, cotton in there. Like he did a thing.
Right.
A lot of it was really kind of tongue in cheek. I think he was like well aware of his how he was coming off. At the same time, life sort of butt up with the art of him being a curmudgeon. And there's plenty of curmudgeonly stuff. There's a Borat, or Ali G was on the show once, and it's quite a hilarious interaction that they have, because he is such an asshole to Ali G, who is just pronouncing words wrong. But controversies, well, despite being a Democrat, he was a liberal. He defined himself as liberal. He defined himself as an agnostic, and then later an atheist. I always thought he was probably some religious hoo-ha head, but not at all. But despite that, he ran into trouble a few times. In 1990, he was suspended for 3 months for having allegedly suggested that black people were less intelligent because they watered down their genes, which probably not cool. But he actually he vehemently disputed that, claiming that he was talking about people that had lower incomes, which is only slightly better. But, he was saying that. And the thing is, a lot of this came about because he said this was somebody taking some other stuff that he had said in 1990, when he said that there's too much alcohol, too much food, too many drugs, too many homosexual unions, and too many cigarettes are the things that lead to a premature death. So there was a gay rights activist that got mad at him, and that was part of what he said. But again, the thing that kind of makes me like this guy, he walked that back. Like, he was seriously like, he was like, I shouldn't have said that. And not I found the interview of him online where he's like apologizing for it, and it seems 100% sincere. He talks about how he's come to know more homosexual. There's like something he said like years later after the 1990 incident. He said, "I feel terrible about that, and I've learned a lot." He also there's a bunch of stuff he said though. He was like, it's silly for these Native Americans to complain about team names like the Redskins. The real problem is we took the country away from the Indians. They want it back, and we're not going to give it to them. We feel guilty, and we'll do what we can for them in reason, but they can't have their country back. Next question.
Wow.
Then after that, he apologized. He was like, when so many people complain about one thing, you have to assume you may have been wrong.
I mean, that's a lot braver than most celebrities in the same situation.
It kind of is. It's a weird thing where I wanted this whole piece to be what a fucking asshole Andy Rooney is, and he's kind of okay. Like, he's like 1,000 years old, and he keeps learning from his mistakes and changing. He did say it made a lot of young people angry. He was pissed off because Kurt Cobain's suicide overshadowed Richard Nixon's suicide. So he said, a lot of people would like to have the years left that he threw away. What's all this nonsense about how terrible life is? I'd love to relive the pain you're going through by switching my age with yours. What would all these young people be doing if they had real problems like the Depression, World War II, or Vietnam? If Cobain applied the same brain to his music that he applied to his drug-infested life, it's reasonable to think that his music might not have made much sense either. It's reasonable to think that his music may not have made much sense either. Oh, because he was saying he doesn't understand this music now or whatever.
Right.
It's the oldest old guy way to come about that, but there is something to me that's pretty hilarious about like old people and fuddy-duddies. They don't really get to troll young people very much, other than like they're coming at it from a sincere sort of like, I'm religious and all this. But it's like, because I mean, like Kurt Cobain's suicide is the first like kind of like real cultural touchstone for people of like around our age-ish when that happened. It was this weird like, this seminal thing is now dead and gone, and to just blatantly offend like the first like true emotions that the ironic Gen X ever were kind of publicly experienced, and to just mock that is kind of fucking hilarious. Like I kind of have to completely get behind it, whether if he knew he was doing it or not. Like it's kind of fucking amazing.
I have to give a quick correction here real quick though. Richard Nixon died of complications following a stroke, not of suicide.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to say suicide. I meant that Cobain's suicide was overshadowed the death of Richard Nixon.
Right. Yeah. I thought you meant Mojo Nixon.
he will never die.
Still alive.
He will never die.
Well, just the fact that unlike the other Rooney, instead of saying, I forgive these people for being angry with me. I forgive, I've read the letters and I forgive the homosexual community for being upset with me, claiming that they're one of the 5 problems with the world. Yeah. He just genuinely apologized. Yeah. I'm a big fan of people apologizing, and it's okay.
It is a weird, especially when you are that old.
Yeah. He didn't have to do that.
He didn't have, it wouldn't have impacted him in any way to just be like, no, I'm sticking to my guns. And instead he went, no, I'm going to learn from this.
And the thing is too, is he would get suspended or whatever, and he would get in trouble. And, but then like immediately the ratings on 60 Minutes would slip. So there's a lot of fucking Rooney heads out there. The network would constantly bring him right back because like anything he did, he was kind of Teflon because he's just like, people loved him. But then the one thing, like he mentioned the thing about like, what did he say about the homosexual? He's like, there was never a writer who didn't hope in some small way that he was doing good with the words he put down on paper. While I know it's presumptuous, I've always had in mind that I was doing a little bit of good. Now I was known for having done not good, but bad. I'd be known the rest of my life as a racist bigot and someone who had made life a little bit more difficult for homosexuals. I felt terrible about that, and I've learned a lot. Like that's a real apology. Yeah. And I do think though that like as much as he's getting called out for these things, like the way like culture and language and stuff is changing, like I'm gonna have a lot of apologizing to do. Like I think I'm hoping that at some point there is because right now there's a little bit of like, oh, you said one thing once when you were 13. People are mad about that. I don't think that people don't forgive you for the apology. They just forget about it. Like, because I don't think like for the most part, that the cancel culture is that big of an actual thing. It's just people, it's a real big deal for like a week or two. And for the most part, people kind of forget about it.
Right.
Hopefully we can all learn a little bit from Mr. Andy Rooney and his long life that he lived on the small silver screen, and not to mention his many, many dalliances with the lovely Miss Judy Garland. And we shall never confuse the two men again.
So, I think I've got it straight. I've got it figured out.
But it is crazy. I thought I would be way more pro Mickey than Andy.
I did too. And it turns out Mickey Rooney's a child rapist, and Andy Rooney's a guy who just makes mistakes and sincerely apologizes for them.
Yeah. We all learned a little something today.
We all learned a little something.
So I think that wraps up another week of the International News Service. Find us across social media at International News Pod. Email us at internationalnewspod@gmail.com. Let me just go on the record by saying this podcast was created in a secret biolab, and we endorse its use against Russian aggression. Check out the INS merch store at Redbubble and our Patreon. We'll see you next week.
Das Vidanya, son of a bitch.
Thank you for listening to the International News Service. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. INS, the news you need.